Most people think assertiveness is about being bold, loud, or dominant. They believe you have to raise your voice, speak faster, or push harder to be taken seriously. But real assertiveness works in the opposite direction. The trick to sounding assertive in any situation is not adding intensity, it's removing it. Assertiveness is calm certainty, delivered with control. When you speak calmly, you signal confidence. A steady voice tells people you are grounded, not defensive. Loudness often tries to compensate for uncertainty. Calmness never needs to. When you slow your speech and lower your tone slightly, your words carry more weight. People listen because they sense self-control, and self-control reads as authority. Assertive communication uses fewer words. Over-explaining weakens your position. The more you justify, the more you invite debate. Clear, short statements sound firm because they leave no confusion. Saying "that won't work for me" is stronger than a long explanation. Brevity communicates confidence. It shows you don't need permission to state your position. Pauses are a hidden source of power. Most people rush to fill silence because silence feels uncomfortable. But silence, when intentional, creates pressure not on you, but on the listener. A brief pause before responding shows thoughtfulness. A pause after making a statement signals finality. Assertive speakers are not afraid of silence because silence reinforces control. Your body speaks before your voice. Slouched posture, restless movement, or avoiding eye contact weaken your message. Stillness strengthens it. When your body is calm, your voice follows. Standing or sitting upright, relaxed shoulders, steady breathing. These physical cues amplify assertiveness without a single word. Tone matters more than volume. An assertive tone is even, measured, and calm. It doesn't rush or spike emotionally. This tone communicates that you are not reacting. You are choosing your response. People trust those who appear in control of themselves. Assertiveness is self-regulation, not dominance. Timing also matters. Assertive people don't argue in emotional peaks. They wait until intensity lowers. Speaking at the right moment increases impact. Even strong words fail if delivered at the wrong time. Assertiveness is knowing when to speak as much as how to speak. Another key element is certainty without aggression. Assertiveness does attack, it does threaten, it states, "I am not available for that. I disagree." Let us pause. These statements don't need force. Their power comes from calm delivery and consistency. Many people fear assertiveness because they associate it with conflict. But assertiveness actually prevents conflict. Clear boundaries reduce confusion. Calm clarity removes the need for escalation. When people know where you stand, they stop testing. The trick is simple, but not easy. Regulate yourself first. Control your tone. Slow your words. Use fewer sentences. Allow silence. Align your body with calm. When you do this, you don't sound aggressive. You sound grounded. And grounded people are taken seriously. Assertiveness is not about changing others. It's about presenting yourself with clarity and composure. When you master that, your presence speaks before your words. And in any situation, presence is power. Assertiveness is calm clarity, not loud confidence. Many people confuse assertiveness with volume, speed, or force. They believe being heard requires being louder, more aggressive, or more intense than the person in front of them. In reality, loudness often signals insecurity, not strength. True assertiveness comes from clarity delivered with calm. It is the ability to state your position without tension, apology, or aggression. Calm clarity begins with self-regulation. When you are emotionally steady, your message carries weight. A calm tone tells others that you are grounded and certain. It shows that you are not reacting in the moment, but responding with intention. This steadiness creates trust. People may challenge loud confidence, but they respect calm certainty because it feels stable and controlled. Loud confidence often tries to overpower. It pushes energy outward in an attempt to dominate the conversation. Calm clarity, on the other hand, hold space. It does to rush to fill silence or compete for attention. It allows the message to land naturally. This restraint is what makes it powerful. When someone speaks calmly, listeners lean in. They sense that the speaker is not seeking validation, only understanding. Clarity is essential. Assertiveness without clarity becomes confusing. When your message is vague, people test it. When it is clear, people adjust. Calm clarity means choosing simple words and direct statements. It avoids over-explaining, because over-explaining signals doubt. A clear, "I am not comfortable with that," is stronger than a long justification. Clarity removes ambiguity, and ambiguity invites conflict. Calm clarity also protects relationships. Loud confidence often escalates situations. It can trigger defensiveness, even when the message is reasonable. Calm delivery lowers emotional resistance. It allows disagreement without hostility. This is why calm assertiveness is effective in both personal and professional settings. It sets boundaries while preserving respect. Another important aspect is timing. Calm clarity respects the moment. Assertive communicators know when to speak and when to pause. They do not force conversations during emotional peaks. They wait until intensity drops, then state their position clearly. This patience increases the chance of being heard. Assertiveness is not about urgency. It's about impact. Body language reinforces calm clarity. Stillness, relaxed posture, and steady eye contact communicate confidence without aggression. When your body is calm, your voice follows. This alignment strengthens your presence. People respond not just to what you say, but to how settled you appear while saying it. Calm clarity also prevents power struggles. Loud confidence invites competition. Someone feels challenged and responds in kind. Calm assertiveness does invite that response. It does challenge the other person as ego. It simply states a position and holds it. This neutrality diffuses tension and keeps the focus on the issue rather than the personalities involved. Many people fear calm assertiveness because it feels exposed. There is no armor of volume or intensity. But this vulnerability is what makes it authentic. It signals trust in your own stance. You don't need to perform confidence when you are certain of your position. Calmness is enough. Over time, calm clarity builds credibility. People learn that when you speak, your words are intentional. You don't waste energy on unnecessary explanations or emotional displays. This consistency earns respect. Others stop testing boundaries because they know your limits are firm, even without force. Assertiveness is not about changing others. It is about representing yourself honestly and respectfully. Calm clarity allows you to do this without compromising your values or your peace. It replaces noise with intention and aggression with composure. In a world that equates loudness with strength, calm clarity stands out as true authority. Your tone carries authority before your words do. In any conversation, people respond first to how something is said, long before they process what is being said. Tone is a signal, a subtle vibration that communicates confidence, control, and intention. Words alone, no matter how clever or precise, cannot command attention if they are delivered with uncertainty, hesitation, or tension. The tone of your voice sets the stage for your message, and it often determines whether your words are received as guidance, suggestion, or challenge. When your tone is steady and calm, it signals self-possession. It tells the listener that you are not reactive, that you are grounded, and that you are confident in your position. This authority arises not from volume or aggression, but from control. People sense when someone is in command of themselves, and that sense of control creates influence. Even a simple statement, delivered with a firm and composed tone, carries more weight than a long argument spoken nervously or aggressively. Tone can also diffuse tension before it escalates. In heated situations, a rushed, sharp, or raised tone triggers the nervous system. It signals threat, and the brain responds defensively, shutting down reasoning and increasing resistance. A calm and measured tone, on the other hand, signals safety. It reassures the listener subconsciously that there is no attack. When the body perceives safety, the mind opens to understanding. Your words can only persuade when the listener's nervous system is receptive. And tone is the key to creating that receptiveness. The authority of tone is amplified by consistency. People trust voices that are steady. Hesitation, wavering, or spikes in pitch create doubt. Even if your words are correct, inconsistent tone undermines them. Authority grows when your vocal presence aligns with your intention. Each time you deliver a message with steady confidence, others begin to trust, not just the words, but the speaker. Trust builds authority more reliably than argument ever could. Tone also communicates emotional state. When you speak in a calm, controlled manner, it signals that you are not governed by impulse or reaction. This self-regulation is interpreted as competence. People respond to those who manage themselves under pressure because they become anchors in moments of chaos. Conversely, when tone is harsh, hurried, or strained, it communicates instability. Listeners feel tension and are more likely to resist or escalate the situation themselves. Pauses and pacing are extensions of tone. Speaking too quickly can betray anxiety or eagerness, while speaking too slowly without intention can feel condescending. The right rhythm, matched with a calm and firm tone, enhances clarity and commands attention. Silence, strategically placed, emphasizes authority as well. A well-timed pause before or after a statement draws focus to your words and signals deliberation rather than impulsivity. Nonverbal cues also reinforce the authority in tone. Posture, breathing, and facial expression all interact with vocal presence. A relaxed posture and steady breathing naturally produce a more controlled tone. When body and voice align, the authority becomes palpable. It communicates authenticity because it reflects internal calm rather than a forced performance. People detect this alignment intuitively, and it enhances the credibility of every word spoken. Tone carries authority not by demanding agreement but by signaling competence and presence. It allows you to hold space without confrontation. Even in disagreement, a composed tone ensures that your message is heard without unnecessary resistance. This is why great communicators often influence more through how they speak than through what they speak. Words matter, but tone prepares the listener to accept them. Finally, mastering tone is a practice in self-awareness. It requires monitoring internal states, regulating emotional impulses, and aligning intention with delivery. Each conversation is an opportunity to project calm authority, to ensure that your words land with clarity and respect. When tone precedes content, you don't just speak, you lead. People listen, reflect, and respond, not because they are compelled, but because the tone tells them it is safe, important, and credible to do so. In essence, your words are the message, but your tone is the vessel. Without the right tone, the message struggles to reach its destination. With it, even the simplest words carry weight. Master your tone, and you command attention, influence outcomes, and create impact before a single argument is made. Fewer words sound stronger than long explanations. In communication, most people assume that the more they speak, the more persuasive they become. They feel that every detail, every justification, and every qualifier strengthens their position. But in reality, verbosity often dilutes authority. Long explanations create openings for doubt, invite challenges, and signal uncertainty. Concise statements, delivered with calm confidence, carry clarity and power that extended arguments rarely achieve. The human brain responds differently to brevity. Short, precise statements are easier to process and remember. They hit with immediacy and reduce confusion. When people hear a concise declaration, they are more likely to grasp the point and respond appropriately. Lengthy explanations, no matter how well-intentioned, risk losing the listener in a maze of words. The authority of the message diminishes as the opportunity for misinterpretation grows. Concise communication also demonstrates confidence. When someone is certain of their position, they do not feel the need to over-explain. They trust that their message is clear and sufficient. Over-explaining, on the other hand, often signals insecurity. It suggests that the speaker is trying to compensate for uncertainty, and this perception undermines influence. People instinctively trust those who say less but mean more, because it projects clarity and control. Fewer words also protect relationships. Lengthy explanations in heated or sensitive situations can be misinterpreted as defensiveness or lecturing. Conciseness reduces the risk of emotional misfire. A short, firm statement communicates boundaries, opinion, or decision without provoking defensiveness. It preserves dignity for both the speaker and the listener. Assertive communication often relies more on what is omitted than on what is said. Pauses play a role in amplifying concise statements. Silence after a brief declaration creates impact. the listener naturally fills the gap, reflecting on the statement. Extended explanations rarely allow for this space. They overwhelm the conversation with information instead of giving it room to resonate. The power of brevity lies not just in fewer words, but in the intention behind them and the space they create for reflection. Conciseness also fosters authority in professional contexts. Leaders who speak clearly and directly are perceived as decisive. Employees, colleagues, and peers instinctively respond to clarity. Decisions delivered with succinct rationale command attention, where lengthy rationales invite debate, hesitation, or second-guessing. Fewer words do not mean less content. They mean sharper content, delivered in a form that communicates competence. In personal interactions, concise communication prevents unnecessary escalation. When emotions run high, long explanations often prolong arguments. Each additional word can be misinterpreted, questioned, or challenged. Stating your point succinctly interrupts the cycle of reactive conversation. It asserts boundaries and positions without feeding tension. In this way, brevity is a tool of both influence and conflict management. Choosing fewer words requires careful thought. It means stripping the message down to its essential meaning, removing filler, and focusing on intent. This does not reduce clarity, it enhances it. When every word is purposeful, the listener feels the weight of the message. Purposeful brevity conveys that you are deliberate, thoughtful, and self-assured. Furthermore, fewer words demand active listening from the audience. People pay closer attention when statements are concise. They are forced to engage rather than passively process a continuous flow of explanation. This engagement increases the likelihood that your point will land and be remembered. Over-explaining, conversely, can lead to fatigue, distraction, or mental disengagement. Ultimately, brevity is about respect for your own energy and for the listener's attention. It shows that you value clarity over volume, precision over defensiveness, and intention over reaction. By choosing your words carefully and keeping them minimal, you assert authority without dominance, influence without aggression, and confidence without the need for justification. Fewer words are not about being blunt or dismissive. They are about being intentional. They carry the weight of clarity, composure, and certainty. In any situation, a concise statement communicates strength, focus, and control far more effectively than a long explanation ever could. Mastering brevity is mastering the art of influence. Pauses create power in conversation. Most people feel uncomfortable with silence, as if a gap in words signals weakness, uncertainty, or lack of knowledge. They rush to fill every moment with speech, thinking that continuous talking equates to authority or influence. In reality, the opposite is true. Strategic pauses give weight to your words, emphasize points, and allow others to absorb and reflect. They are one of the most subtle, yet effective tools for commanding presence in any conversation. Pauses do more than punctuate sentences. They control the rhythm of communication. When a person speaks continuously, their message can overwhelm, confuse, or bore the listener. The brain needs time to process information, especially complex or important statements. A well-placed pause gives the audience that space, allowing the meaning to settle. When you stop briefly after making a point, it signals that what you just said is significant. Listeners instinctively pay closer attention. Silence also signals confidence. People who panic or lack certainty often rush their words to fill the space, fearing that nothing will be understood if they pause. Those who pause intentionally demonstrate self-assurance. They show that they are in control, comfortable, and deliberate. A pause communicates that you do not need to prove yourself through constant speech. Your presence and your words carry weight on their own. Pauses can also create anticipation. A momentary silence before a key statement draws focus. Listeners lean in, wondering what will come next. This technique is particularly powerful in presentations, debates, or negotiation. The brief gap generates curiosity and heightens engagement. It is a way to draw attention without force, without raising volume or adding emphasis artificially. The psychological effect of pauses is profound. Humans are wired to respond to rhythm in speech. Sudden stops create cognitive tension that the listener naturally resolves by paying attention to the next words. In contrast, Continuous speech without variation can become white noise. A deliberate pause transforms ordinary communication into something memorable, meaningful, and impactful. Pauses also allow you to regulate yourself. During high-stakes or emotional conversations, it is easy to react impulsively. Taking a pause before responding provides time to assess your own thoughts. Check your emotional state and choose a deliberate response. This self-regulation prevents escalation, maintains composure, and enhances authority. A measured pause communicates that you are not acting out of impulse but speaking with intention. In conflict or negotiation, pauses can change the power dynamic. When someone delivers a strong statement and waits quietly, the pressure often shifts to the other person. Silence invites them to respond, reflect, or reconsider their position. It creates a subtle imbalance in favor of the person who controls the rhythm. Unlike loudness or aggression, which can provoke defensiveness, a pause guides the conversation without confrontation. Pauses also enhance clarity. When ideas are complex or emotionally charged, rushing through words increases the likelihood of misunderstanding. A short pause between thoughts gives both the speaker and listener time to organize information. This spacing improves comprehension, reduces misinterpretation, and increases the impact of each statement. It allows each idea to breathe and resonate. Body language works in tandem with pauses. A slight nod, eye contact, or relaxed posture during a pause signals attentiveness and authority. It reinforces the idea that the silence is intentional, not awkward. When verbal and non-verbal cues align, the effect of a pause is magnified. The listener interprets both the words and the quiet as intentional and significant. Finally, pauses cultivate patience and presence. In a world that values speed, the ability to pause demonstrates mastery of timing and self-awareness. It allows conversations to unfold naturally rather than being forced. It encourages listening, reflection, and thoughtful engagement. Those who master the art of pause do not dominate through volume or force. They influence through rhythm, focus, and deliberate timing. In essence, a pause is more than the absence of words. It is a tool of communication, a signal of authority, and a mechanism of influence. It allows words to land with impact, emotions to settle, and attention to focus. By mastering pauses, you do not just speak, you control the flow, the weight, and the power of every conversation. Silence, when used intentionally, transforms ordinary dialogue into commanding, persuasive, and unforgettable communication. Body language speaks before your voice. Long before a single word is spoken, people are reading the signals your body sends. Posture, gestures, facial expressions, and even micro-movements communicate confidence, intention, and emotional state. Words matter, but they land on a stage already set by nonverbal cues. If your body exudes uncertainty, tension, or discomfort, even the most carefully chosen words lose power. Conversely, when your body is composed, aligned, and purposeful, your voice gains authority and your message carries weight. Posture is the foundation of body language. Standing or sitting upright with relaxed shoulders signals confidence and readiness. A slouched stance, hunched shoulders, or crossed arms conveys insecurity or defensiveness. Before anyone hears what you are saying, they've already formed a judgment based on how you carry yourself. The simple act of aligning your body communicates presence, grounding, and control, setting the tone for your verbal message. Eye contact reinforces authenticity and authority. When you meet someone's gaze steadily, it signals engagement and confidence. Avoiding eye contact can be interpreted as hesitation, discomfort, or lack of conviction. However, staring aggressively can provoke defensiveness. Balanced, intentional eye contact conveys attentiveness, credibility, and calm authority. People trust what is paired with clear, confident eye contact long before they process the words themselves. Gestures also amplify communication. Hands that move with purpose rather than fidgeting or flailing emphasize key points and show intent. Open gestures, such as palms slightly visible, signal transparency and approachability, while clenched fists or hidden hands can create tension or mistrust. Even subtle movements, like a gentle nod or a controlled hand gesture, can reinforce your words and demonstrate composure, making statements feel deliberate and authoritative. Facial expressions are equally powerful. A relaxed, calm expression communicates stability and control. Tension in the jaw, tight lips, or furrowed brows, even if the words are composed, suggest stress or aggression. Smiles, when appropriate, can diffuse tension and make your communication approachable without diminishing authority. Micro-expressions, those tiny involuntary signals, often speak louder than careful chosen words because humans are wired to detect emotional authenticity. Proximity and spatial awareness are part of the body language equation. Standing too close can feel aggressive. Standing too far can seem detached. An assertive presence respects boundaries while claiming space, signaling confidence and control. How you occupy space communicates self-assurance and clarity about your position. People often respond to the way you exist in a room before they listen to what you say. Breathing patterns also affect body language. Shallow, rapid breaths signal tension, while deep, controlled breathing communicates calm authority. When your body is calm and you're breathing steady, your voice naturally flows, projecting confidence and composure. Controlling your internal state through postured gestures and breathing ensures your verbal message aligns with your nonverbal cues. Even silence and stillness are forms of body language. Pausing, holding posture, and maintaining calm physical presence communicates deliberation and authority. The way you carry yourself in moments of quiet can reinforce your words, giving them gravity and weight. People often respond more to presence than to argument, because presence communicates intention without force. The alignment of body and voice is essential. Words delivered with incongruent body language create cognitive dissonance. If your body signals uncertainty while your voice is firm, the message loses credibility. The listener unconsciously trusts the visual signals first. When posture, gestures, facial expression, and tone align, communication becomes cohesive, compelling, and persuasive. Mastering body language requires self-awareness. It is about observing your physical habits, identifying tension, and adjusting posture, gestures, and expressions intentionally. It is about understanding that authority is embodied, not just spoken. Every step, breath, and gesture contributes to how your message is perceived. Ultimately, body language is the silent speaker that frames every conversation. It precedes words, reinforces tone, and shapes reception. By controlling and aligning your body language, you set the stage for verbal communication to land with power, clarity, and influence. Your presence, posture, gestures, and expressions speak first. When mastered, they ensure that your voice follows with authority. Certainty comes from self-control, not dominance. Many people mistake assertiveness for aggression, believing that loudness, force, or intimidation creates authority. They assume that to be certain, they must overpower the conversation, push harder, or assert dominance over others. But true certainty is not a function of external pressure. It arises from internal mastery. When you control yourself, your reactions, and your presence, certainty flows naturally. Dominance may command attention momentarily, but it rarely earns respect, trust, or influence. Self-control, on the other hand, conveys stability and authority in every interaction. Self-control starts with managing your emotions. When faced with tension, disagreement, or provocation, the immediate urge is often to react impulsively. Dominance-driven responses push, argue, or escalate to assert authority. These reactions may make you feel powerful temporarily, but they destabilize the conversation. Self-control allows you to pause, assess, and respond intentionally. It creates clarity for yourself and projects clarity to others. People instinctively recognize this composed energy and respond with deference, cooperation, or at least attention, because calm certainty feels credible. Certainty is reinforced by restraint. Those who feel the need to dominate often over-explain, repeat themselves, or insist on proving every point. This behavior signals insecurity. Conversely, self-control allows you to state your position confidently and step back. You do not need to fill silence with words or amplify your voice to be taken seriously. The ability to remain calm while others escalate communicates that your certainty is internal, not dependent on external compliance. Dominance can trigger defensiveness. When you try to assert authority through force, people often resist, argue back, or shut down. This creates tension, conflict, and ultimately diminishes your influence. Self-control, however, stabilizes the situation. It reduces defensiveness and invites collaboration. People are far more likely to consider your position when it is presented from a place of composure rather than coercion. Authority earned through self-control is lasting. Authority imposed through dominance is fragile. Body language and tone play a crucial role in conveying self-control. Calm posture, steady breathing, and measured gestures reinforce your verbal message. When your body is aligned with composure, your certainty is tangible. Dominant gestures pointing aggressively, looming, or speaking rapidly may grab attention, but they rarely instill confidence. True authority is quiet, deliberate, and consistent. People trust the person who demonstrates control over themselves rather than the one who tries to control them. Patience is another key element of certainty through self-control. Dominance seeks immediate validation. It pushes for compliance and often escalates conflict to prove a point. Self-control allows you to wait for the right moment, let intensity settle, and deliver your message with precision. This timing ensures your words land effectively, without being drowned in emotional chaos. Patience reinforces credibility because it signals that your position does not depend on a reaction from others, it exists independently. Self-control also communicates reliability. People are drawn to those who are steady under pressure, who do not fluctuate with every provocation or disagreement. Dominance may command short-term attention, but it does not inspire trust. Certainty that comes from self-control reassures others that your decisions, statements, and boundaries are consistent and dependable. Over time, this builds respect and influence far beyond what dominance alone can achieve. Another aspect of self-control is restraint in speech. Saying less, listening more, and choosing words deliberately enhances authority. Dominant behavior often involves overspeaking, correcting others, or pushing for agreement. Self-control ensures that words are purposeful, deliberate, and impactful. When people hear concise, calm statements, they naturally attribute knowledge, wisdom, and certainty to the speaker. Excessive verbal domination, by contrast, signals insecurity and weakens the message. Certainty rooted in self-control is also resilient. Dominance relies on external compliance. If people resist, argue, or ignore you, dominance falters. Self-control, however, remains unaffected by resistance. It does not need to coerce acceptance because it carries its own weight. This inner stability allows you to navigate challenges, criticism, and disagreement without losing composure or credibility. In the end, certainty is not proven by overpowering others. It is demonstrated through the mastery of self. By controlling your emotions, words, tone, and body language, you create presence and influence that commands respect naturally. Dominance may force temporary submission, but self-control builds lasting authority. True certainty comes from within, and when it is anchored in self-mastery, it communicates more powerfully than any attempt to dominate ever could.